Hello and welcome back to Cool and Chronic with me, Simone. This is a podcast where real life meets disability and chronic illness. Today's guest is a very special person to me. It's my friend Gemma. Her journey has been amazing. She's been living with congenital heart disease after being diagnosed with AS first. Gemma has faced so many challenges and I'm just so proud of her. She also lives with lymphedema and is now navigating pregnancy with her heart conditions. So everyone, welcome Gemma. Gemma, if you just want to give a little bit about yourself, your age, where you're from, so everyone and the listeners can get to know you a bit better.
Yeah, so I'm Gemma, I'm 31. I live in Stourbridge with my partner Tom and my little sausage dog Rupert. I work in sales as a sales manager in the lifting gear industry. And yeah, I live with her heart disease and a few other things along the way.
Yes, you do. And you've been through a lot, actually. So if I'm going to take it back to when I first met you, really, was when I was a PT and I was helping you through your transition after a heart operation. And we've just become close ever since, really, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. But the first question we're going to dive into, Jem, we're just going to go a little bit into, can you explain your journey after being diagnosed with AS, which I can't pronounce, which you'll dive into, and then living with congenital heart disease? And that's a loaded question. Take your time and go for it.
Yeah, so my mum had me normally, so normal birth, no complications, anything like that. And then around 6 weeks old, I think I was, they found a heart murmur, which then led on to the diagnosis of aortic stenosis, which is basically like narrowing of the heart valve. So all your blood's flowing through your valves in your heart to get pump it all around your body. And basically mine were very narrow, so I wasn't getting enough oxygenated blood through my body as a baby. So from that, obviously that's not really compatible with life. So you have to have another procedure in order to fix that. And that was a balloon procedure, which basically they put like a balloon into your valves, expand it, which then allows more blood through. But from that, you then can have the risk of having leaking heart valves because obviously they can overexpand. But without it, I wouldn't have survived. So it's almost like, yes, you're going to live with this, but you can live with it. But obviously it does leave you with another condition of a heart disease, which you have to have treated throughout your life, which I have, yeah.
Wow. So I didn't know that. I've known you in, we don't always talk about our ailments, and I wouldn't say, looking at you, and this is very naively of me, I wouldn't say you have like a disability or a chronic illness or anything, but you do. You face everyday troubles with this condition. So how old were you when you had the inflating of the valve? Sorry.
So I think I was just under 1 when I had that. So that went well. That was great. That fixed them. But then they knew because of the heart valves leaking that I would have to have open heart surgery to try and fix the valves, which happened when I was 5. So it was in 2000, I think, if my maths is right. We'll go with
well
that.
done, Jeb.
Yeah. So I had open heart when I was 5. My mum and dad were together at the time, so it was good. It's hard for any parent being pregnant now, which we'll go on to. I can't even imagine, but at the time my mum also had MS as well. So as anyone that might know, MS is a stress-related disease that can be triggered very much by stress. So yeah, for her it probably wasn't ideal or helpful to her life, but she'd have done anything for me. So yeah, we had that battle of the open heart when I was 5.
I mean, coming from like an outsider, the sounding of open heart surgery terrifies me, and I'm sure it does a lot of our listeners, because it has got a bit of a stigma. It's a bit of like a whoa subject, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, definitely.
And obviously, at that age, did you really know what was going on? Like, how were you told you had a condition by your mom and your dad, or like, sort of, what was it?
I really don't think I can remember much from my childhood, and I think that is a defence mechanism, as we probably know, that I've sort of blocked out a
Yeah.
lot of that time. There's the odd things that I can remember, like going into hospital, like my surroundings as such. I can
Yeah.
remember, unfortunately for my mum, I only wanted my dad at the time. I only wanted to hear my mum. My
Always
mum
the
was
way.
like, "No, not you. I need my dad." And there's like little things of going down for surgery. I can remember things like having the mask on to make me go to sleep. That side. So little like glances I have. And I made a few
But
friends
not.
when I was in there, little friends, and I've still got like pictures of them in my head. But all in all, I don't remember a lot about if I really knew what was going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is maybe for the better. Like, that's quite a good thing, like, in a way.
Yeah.
Like, because you didn't know and maybe understand.
Yeah.
When from the age were you told, or did you understand that you had a heart condition? Like, can you remember the age that you were brought aware to that?
Yeah, I probably, well, I say that I can't remember, but I used having a heart condition to my advantage a lot as a child. Naughtily, but I would, if I didn't fancy doing something, it'd be like, I can't do that, I've got a heart condition.
You
So
wanted to get out of PE, didn't you, Gem?
that's the one I use a lot, sadly, and I'm sure it'll come back to me in my time sometime. But yeah, I did know, because that was even in primary school and stuff. So I did used to be like, get sent home from school, because I'd be like, oh, it was terrible really when I think about it. But I'd say, oh, I've got a chest pain, and they'd send me straight home because they wouldn't even doubt it. And then mum would get me home and she'd be like, are you okay? And I'd be like, I just wanted to spend time with you. And then mum would be like, oh, come here. And like, I just had her wrap around my finger. So yeah, I must have known from a very young age.
You know what? I
um,
love that, Gem. Brilliant.
oh, it's bad now when I think about it. But I mean, I definitely did understand I could get out of things. So I must have understood.
Yeah. But did you, so on a, say, a day-to-day basis now we're a bit older, obviously, you have had more surgeries, which we'll go into, but on a day-to-day basis, does the condition affect you now?
So I'd say I'm very lucky, and no, I think a lot of my life I have been very well with my heart condition in circumstances. Like on paper and on scans, I look like I shouldn't be okay, but in person, in fitness, I seem to like defeat the odds, and I'm like, I don't really make much sense to doctors and consultants and stuff, because you shouldn't be able to have what I've got going on and still be able to do certain things and live a certain way, but I've always managed to. So I'm quite lucky in that sense that I have my boundaries and my limits that I wouldn't push. I wouldn't go past a certain point to try and, push myself too far. But I think I count my blessings that, I've had this, and a lot of my life has been very healthy and normal, really.
But that isn't actually just you defying odds, because coming from your personal trainer, you've pushed your body and you've made yourself the healthiest version of who you are. And I remember we were getting you fit after your heart op, which we'll go into in a minute. And they actually said to you that you were above the scale of fitness, weren't you? And I was so proud of you.
Yeah, you definitely had a helping hand with getting me there. But yeah, I've always sort of cared about my body and know that if I look after it, it should look after me as best it can. Obviously, it doesn't always work out like that. But I think if you've got the chance and able to, like we talk about a lot, if you're physically able and you can improve your life and improve conditions, then, you've only got yourself to blame then if you don't. And my body has sort of defined that for me. It has always proved that I've looked after it, and it's looked after me when I've needed it, and that side of things. So,
And
yeah.
You are I would say you're a very fit, healthy person, positive, and we'll dive into being pregnant and those things as well. But I would like to go back to when we first met, which was actually we've known each other for years, I should add. But when we first became close after your heart surgery, is this your second open heart surgery that you had?
Yeah, so I had it when I was 5, and then it was meant to, because basically what happened with the procedure, I cut it short, but basically I have a Ross procedure, which means your pulmonary valve will be moved to your aortic valve, and then I also had implanted pig's valve where my pulmonary was, to make it all work again. But from that, because it's not your own valve, and because you're moving things around, they start to deteriorate. So they're not going to last forever, but once they're in, they'll do a good job for approximately 10 years, they said, for me. And that went well. So from that operation, I got through it well, got back to normal quite quickly from that. And then 10 years passed. So by this point, I'm 15-ish at school, sort of going year 10, 11. Obviously they started looking deeper at my scans. Yeah, definitely. I was still under the children's at 15, so that's Birmingham Children's Hospital. So that's where I was under, and the same doctor I'd had my whole life. So Dr. Stumper, he was the one who always looked after me. By the end of that time at the children's, all the girls that would scan me, like the nurses doing echo heart scans, they would have to get a doctor because they would just crap themselves, because my valves were leaking so much at that point. But then Dr. Stumper would come in and go, this is normal for Gemma. She's fit, she's healthy. This is quite normal. So they'd have to calm them down. that was a normal.
They'd be like,
Gemma's
normal, which it isn't, is it? That isn't normal.
No, I just think you had one thing on one side and then one thing on another, and it's playing it safe to the point where open heart surgery is such a big surgery on the body, and you only want it to improve the health and well-being of that person. And I think doing it too early can burden that. And obviously, if you have to have further surgeries, you're doing it early, so it just means you might have another one added in there. So
okay.
Yeah, does that make sense? So, they don't want to do it too early. They like to sort of see. So they made me take my GCSEs early, weirdly, because my scans looked that bad. So I did them a year early. And then they decided not to do it anyway.
Brains.
I don't know, wow, I don't think I did very good in them. So it's a good job I resat them, to be honest. I know.
No.
But then after that, they then my transfer to the QE, so going over to the adult congenital side of things. And that's when they put me on a treadmill. Yeah. So fitness tests have been as we know, Simone, is what kept me going and kept me from having surgeries. So they took me on a treadmill, and you just have to basically, you slowly walk on an incline, then it gets faster, faster, faster till you're running on an incline till you literally are going to fly off the end. So you have to go, okay, stop. Let's stop here. You've got a mask on. You're a bit like footballers. So footballers, they have the mask and the fitness test. That type of test. So I did that as soon as I got transferred over there, and I was over 100% of a normal person without a heart condition. So at that point, they were like, I know, check me. Yeah.
Check you, Gem.
Check me. So at that point, they're like, surgery is definitely not going to benefit this person because she's so physically fit. And that's what they want from any surgery, is to make sure you're physically well.
Fit. Yeah.
So although it was due at 10 years, that actually went on for another 10 years. I had fitness tests every year, absolutely smashed them for another 10 years.
Wow.
Until, as we know, COVID hit, and then my heart thought, oh, what a good time to, go in for open heart surgery when no operations are happening and the world is having an unexpected crisis. And that's when it happened.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So when you're having these fitness tests, is there like a level of anxiety before you are having them? Because do you feel like you've got to prove, almost going there and prove that you're as fit as you were? Like, is it a more of internal battle, Rob? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So I think for me, after that 10-year point, I was always waiting for like my operation. So I felt like my life was on hold, if that makes sense. Because I was like, well, it's got to happen. It's like, I'll do it. My heart's bad on scans. It's only that one thing that's stopping me. So every year I went thinking, oh, it's going to be this year. It's going to be this year. It's going to be this year. Which then I guess heightens everything, doesn't it? Because you get yourself all worked up and, you want to do good, but at the same time you think, at what point is my body going to say, come on now, it needs to be done? If that makes sense. So it was very weird. I wanted to always do well, but at the same time, my life was sort of on hold through that time because I couldn't have children. I couldn't do anything like that. So it was like, I was just waiting for them to go, okay, now it's time, if that makes sense, for those extra 10 years.
Yeah. And I mean, like we talk about, obviously, that it doesn't affect you on a day-to-day basis, which is such a blessing, which is incredible. But I think more of the mental side it must do, because I've been with you and like there's certain things that you can't drink or certain things you can't do, like not that you can't do, but that you choose not to do because of your heart, like smoking. We openly talk about you wouldn't do that because of your heart, and you take really intentional action with your health, which I've always admired so much. But when you're a teenager, you want to try everything right and you want to be the cool. Like, I just think it's I don't know how you navigated that at that time. I think that's a really hard time to be going through something so life-changing. And I don't know, like, were your friends understanding at the time, or how was it with friends, or how are you friends with the condition?
Yeah, so going through school, everyone knew about my condition and knew that I had a heart problem. And everyone was very supportive, and, I've still got best friends from then now. So, like, we've gone through it sort of all together. And, yeah, they've all been great. Obviously, going through those teenage years when you rebel, I was still like any other kids that wanted to go down the park, as we know, Simone.
Yes!
Heartbreak.
How I met Gemma.
First heartbreak, and how you deal with that was usually vodka down the park, unfortunately for me. And I still did those things. Naively did those things because everyone else was doing it. And luckily, it didn't affect me or do anything too bad. I'd never touched drugs or anything like that. Like, that's never a thing. Smoking has never been a thing that I've ever wanted. But alcohol, it was... as the teenage years go, yeah, I did still have a drink with my friends down the parks when I shouldn't have, but yeah.
But then, I think you've got to live, and I think that's the thing with having a health condition. You almost go through, we've spoke about this, but you go through the grief, don't you? You think, well, I want my life to be normal. I want to be, I'm not saying we're not normal, we're just a little bit spicy, a little bit different. But, that you want to carry on as normal as possible.
Yeah.
So then COVID hits, and let's talk about going in for that operation.
Yeah, so it was August 2020, so April would have been when COVID and lockdown all happened. And they wanted to get me in because I started feeling like a certain way. So, for example, if I was walking any type of incline, I'd get breathless, where I'd always had no symptoms. Do you know what I mean? So for me they were literally said to me, they're waiting for me to just say one thing and they'd go, okay, she needs to go in, because we were playing with fire, because my fitness test was so good, but we were 20 years past, my last surgery. So it was always like, as soon as she says anything, we're getting her in. And as I say, it would be the year of COVID. But I was relieved in a way, I'd say. Not that it was COVID year, but my life was so on hold at that point. I was 25, the thought, I've always wanted to be a mum and stuff like that. So that was always something I couldn't do until we got over this operation and into the future. So yeah, they chose to do it in the August, which was an experience because I couldn't really remember what it was like when I was 5, like we say. But I think that was a blessing because I went in like I was going on holiday or something. I had to go in on my own because obviously you couldn't have visitors or anything like that. So it was going to be, I know, that's what I mean. I chose my time. But my mum and stepdad had to drop me off, and I just waddled in with my little suitcase. But I was just like thinking, this is going to be the start of the future, if that makes sense. So I wasn't.
Yes.
I'll be truthfully honest. I wasn't scared, weirdly, at all until I don't even know. The night before, I think I sat with myself and my thoughts a lot, thinking tomorrow. I don't know. It's as sad as it sounds, but I might not wake up after this. And am I happy with my life? I went through a lot of life changing thoughts, processes.
Yeah, because I guess, and this is something that I wanted to sort of touch on, it's a very high risk operation, isn't it? Anything to do with the heart is almost, it is life threatening going in for these operations, isn't it? And how, like you just said, I would always say, this is why I love being your friend. Gemma has such a positive outlook on life, like genuinely, always, with everything. And I think that's partly down to condition. And also, like you just said, maybe it was a blessing that you didn't have your mom and your dad coming in because it wasn't such a big hoo-ha. It was more like a, on your way, go and be an adult, like, thing. But I guess you would have those thoughts, like, you wouldn't be human if you didn't think about that, would you really? Like, the thought process.
Yeah.
So you get that.
Yeah, so when you sign that piece, when you sign that piece of paper, they give you all the risks and you're like, okay, they're literally stopping my heart tomorrow, putting it on a heart machine that pumps my blood around my body for me, and then they're just going to pop me back on to my own heart and expect it to pump again. Like, that thought in my mind was just a bit like, well, what if it just doesn't? What if they stop my heart and it just never comes back again? Obviously, the risk chances, to be fair, of open heart, the risk chances and stuff are actually still quite slimmer than you think, as in if anything bad going wrong. It's not terrible, but still the thought of they're stopping your heart,
it's
that's the main organ. Yeah. But then the morning that I woke up for surgery, I was still like positive. I was like, okay, it's happening today. I texted everybody, told them, right, okay. I was the first one in, I think. It was really early. It's like 6 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
And I went down to surgery, like they wheel you down, and I was just happy. And I was like, gosh, you're coming in for open heart surgery, and you're like this. And I was like, oh, I've been waiting a long time for it, you know. I was so sort of, I don't know what the word is, deluded.
Not oblivious, but
oblivious, that's the word. Yeah. Of like what's to come afterwards. I was just sort of like, oh, I'm just, going for a nice sleep and I'll be fixed after it. And yeah, that's when I went down, and then the next thing I know was when it was all over and I was in intensive care, which I wasn't as so positive then.
I was about to say, a lot, because when you do have an operation like that, you have to depend on like the machines and things which you've spoke about, and they're obviously so good at their craft, like they're incredible at their jobs. Side note, Gemma is with someone who now works in the heart side of things as well, so she knows even more about that. But
now
you're waking up. You do now, don't you? Yeah. When you wake up, and I just can't imagine you're on your own. And intensive care at that time was COVID time, so obviously had a lot of people with respiratory issues and things. Was that more scary than what you were going through, if you know what I mean?
I'll be honest, I don't think I thought about that. I don't think I thought about who else was in there at that time, because when I woke up, I just felt broken from head to toe. I couldn't tell you where the pain was coming from, but I had never felt anything like that in my life. So reality quickly hit me on the other side of it. And I think being on your own in intensive care, it's a very intense department. Everyone's quite poorly, or they've had big operations, so it's quite intense, and you're lying there without a support, so you haven't got your mum, your partner, no one around you, and you just feel a type of pain. In my situation, that I can't remember feeling that when I was 5 or anything like that, and I just woke up thinking, this is not okay. How am I going to feel?
This is hell.
Yeah, it did feel like that when I opened my eyes, and I was like, because you can't move. So when you have obviously open heart surgery, they crack your chest bone open. So then obviously that's got to then go back together as well. So when you're in a lying position, you can't just lift yourself up and go, oh, yes, nurse, can you come to me? You are burdened to that position until you get someone to help you move or sit up, or anything like that. So yeah, and due to the pain, then I was being sick as well, heaving, because obviously you don't eat before operation, but I was heaving because of the pain was so intense. But you can imagine you've just had open heart surgery and then you're heaving, which actually all comes from your chest and your stomach. So it was like a catch-22 where I was like, I just need this to stop, to the nurses. I was like, please give me anything. But luckily drugs were on tap.
And
like, I could just go, morphine. I never appreciated drugs until that day.
Yeah, I was just about to say, same as me, girl, until you get into hospital and you need them, like, for the pain. But I can't imagine how scary that actually must have been, genuinely. Like, and how long were you in intensive care for?
It was only a couple of days, so it was 2 days in intensive care and then back to an open ward.
And how long were you in hospital for? Sorry,
I was out in 6 days, which is crazy. So like
you're kidding me.
They say 2 weeks is like standard, but yeah, from the day I went in to the day I came out, it was 6 days. But again, that's because in intensive care, the physio comes round and goes, I need to get you out of the bed. Can you get out of the bed? And I always knew that the most important bit was you need to get up even if you feel like you can't. So while I was heaving and feeling like I was broken from head to toe, he came and I did it. I got out and just sat in the chair, and it was the worst thing ever. But that kick-started in intensive care straight away, that I moved my body and got up. And from that point, when I was back on the normal ward, although it was painful, it was horrible, I was making sure I tried to walk to the toilet once my catheter was out. And I was determined to get out. I was very determined to get home in my comfort. So the nurses come round and I was like, I've had a shower today. I mean, I wouldn't have called it a shower. I just went under the head and just was like, shower. Yeah. So I was very determined. And then I had to do like a walk test. You have to go up some stairs and stuff before they will allow you to go and leave hospital. And they gave me this trainee lady, trainee nurse, I'd say, bless her. But she didn't really know a way around the hospital, which was a slight problem. So she took me the long way, should we say. So yeah, I mean, she nearly like killed me off because I did way more than I should have. And bless her heart, I don't think she had a clue either. And I think she was like, do you want me to get you a wheelchair? I was like, I got to a point, I was like, maybe now, yeah. But he got my test done. And then
and oh god, well, I think, right, listening to your story, there's something that's a very common denominator. One, you are incredibly inspirational and so positive. Like, even though that I just wish sometimes people could look at someone like you who's actually been through, that is like hell on earth for a lot of people. You've not been through it once, you've been through it twice, and then we are going to be talking about having to go through it again in the future. And you just like, I just got up and did it. Like, you're incredible. And if there's one thing that people could take away from this, is your positive energy and how you are, because I think it's a mindset thing. I really do. Yeah, I think your mindset's incredible.
And I think we're very similar in that sense. I do think that's why we became such good friends, is because we try. Yeah, we definitely both have days where you think, why me? Woe is me. It's not fair. Why am I living this life and there's other people living better? But then there's also so many that are living worse, who aren't here with us anymore. There's so many things you can dwell on. And I've found through my whole life, I have always just picked the positives. And I don't feel bitter. I don't feel anger. I don't feel, in my body, that isn't a feeling. Yeah, I'll have days where I'm hormonal and I'll be like, I'm fed up today, you know. Well, we've got this going on, but then I quickly snap out of it the next day and think, no, we've got this. And I think that is what gets you through these type of hurdles that get thrown at you. I really do.
Yeah. And I think having the people around you at that time as well, like we have spoke about your mom having MS, but you and your mom and your family, you're all so close. Like you are a close family, and she's there, although she can't be there in, like me, I can't be there in almost a physical sense all the time. When we can be there at the end of the phone. And I also think with your mom having MS as well, that has given you light. Like, this sounds so weird, you just take me very naturally, like how I am now, and in a wheelchair and things. You've just like a duck to water, because to you it's not alien, you've grown up with that.
And I think that is what probably connected us.
Yes,
because I remember as we were PTing, obviously you were then getting poorly, and you did think it was MS, didn't you? Correct me if I'm wrong, but because the symptoms at the start were very similar, and you knew me and you knew my mum had MS, so the first person you came to was like, Jim, it might be MS. And then from that point, we then just sort of like, I've got you, you know what I mean, type thing. And then we figured out all sorts of different things from it, but I do think the ups and downs and the roller coaster.
I think with you, and I do think it has shaped you as a person, and there's something, I don't know why I feel emotional, but you know, me and you are very emotional. This is something that I've known Gemma, she's going to be a mama to my little blueberry, I call her, little girl, if you don't mind me sharing that. And we didn't think, like, it was possible, it was, you know, you didn't know it was going to happen. Like, can we just sort of talk a little bit about your preconception of being pregnant with your condition, and then what actually has happened to get you to this position, if that's okay?
Yeah, definitely. So when I had my surgery during COVID, so 2020, they did the surgery. They wanted to put a mechanical aortic valve into me, which would mean that basically the chances of you carrying after that, or the risks to you and the baby, because you're on warfarin for the rest of your life, is really, really high. So they just don't recommend putting yourself through it, or there's a lot of pre-pregnancy counselling that's quite harrowing to go through. So I opted to have a cow's valve replacement, but with that means I would have to have open heart again in the future. If I'd have gone with the mechanical, I wouldn't have had to have open heart again. It would have been keyhole. But for me, as you know, being a mom is something that I've always wanted to be. And at the time I was in a different relationship, which it was probably the next thing, you know, was on our agenda of things to do. So I opted for this route, which basically gave me a window, would we say. So like they said, yeah, you should be able to carry a child, but it won't be, you know, endlessly. There might come a point where we have to say, Gemma, it's not safe now for you to try. And as we both know, you don't know how it's going to go with conceiving or anything like that.
Nope. Or what your path is. We don't know your path. You never know your path.
No, we just don't know. So we opted for that. And then I knew I had a window then. So basically I sort of, we said about 5 years. So, you know, that's about what I give myself. But obviously with that, you've still got to like try and conceive. You've got to recover from having a baby. Yeah. And see what your heart's left with after that as well, if that makes sense, because obviously you don't know if it's going to deteriorate or whatever. But Gemma being Gemma, she can't do anything unless her heart feels it's the right thing to do. So unfortunately, that relationship didn't last. And I knew if I was going to have one chance at doing this, having a baby of my own, I wanted to make sure it wasn't just for selfish reasons. It wasn't just for me to have my baby. It was to bring the child into the world with the best opportunity of everything. So I sort of said, if it's not meant to be, which is a very hard thing for me to say, I chose that option and then still said, if it's not meant to be, there'll be other routes, you know, there'll be ways.
Adoption.
But yeah, I physically couldn't do it. I couldn't do it in the wrong, not the wrong, because that's not really the right way to say it, but my heart knew, you know, it wasn't the right time.
And you've got a bit, you want that love and you want to do it in the right manner, which is that's sort of how we've been brought up, and not that it's a right or wrong, but you wanted to bring a child into the world in a loving relationship, and that wasn't right for that time.
Exactly.
But that also adds a lot of pressure onto a relationship. Were you quite open with people who you were dating, like, look, this is where I'm at, or was it more of a let's see how it's going, and then obviously you met Tom?
Yeah, it was pretty much on the first date. I would always mention to everyone that I'm on a time limit. Probably thought, bloody hell, where have I found this one from? But I think that's the best way. You know, if someone's not interested. Do that. Yeah. And it wasn't like you're the one I need them with, and it wasn't that approach, but it was like, I'm in a window, you know, kids are important to me. I want you to know that, and you decide what you wish with that. You know, if that's too much for you, then I'll know they'll slowly disappear. And it went on like that. Yes. I was single for a few years, on and off, you know, dating and stuff. And then I met Tom, who is the baby daddy. Yes. And he is a cardiac physiologist, which comes in handy. But we didn't meet while he was
so good.
We didn't meet while he was, you know, scanning me away. It was on the good old Tinder.
Yes.
Yeah. But his caption was, I break hearts. Was it? I fix hearts by day, I break them by night, or something like that. And I was like, I just
hilarious.
I need to know a bit more about this guy. Not even in like a romantic way. I was just intrigued, really. I was thinking, what do you mean you fixed them?
Blank, but how? Joking aside, I was the one that was like, go on a date with him, because I pushed it. I was like, go. But the fact that he works in the heart sector, and that's mad, because now you're going through pregnancy and you are having a lot of scans to check up on baby girl's heart, and we haven't really touched upon, but lymphedema, you know, you've got other conditions. I think we'll have to do another poddy for that, for lymphedema. I think we'll do a separate one because people want to listen to you, Gem. But what are they doing now to keep baby girl's heart and on check? Is that the right thing?
Yeah. So with pregnancy, like anyone, you don't know how your body's going to handle it. It could be good, could be bad. Luckily, touch wood, that I do all the time, I've had a pretty blissful pregnancy, in all honesty. I've not had any sickness, a little bit tired at the start, but all my heart scans have shown no deterioration, which is crazy because it usually deteriorates anyway. So to say it's not added any extra or not at all is pretty insane. So again, count my blessings. But I'm consultant.
That's your positive energy, girl.
That's it. I'm taking it.
Yes.
Yes. But due to the hospital, I'm under Birmingham Women's, so I'm not under like Brussels Hall, which would be my local one. Birmingham Women's, because they're right next to the QE, so I'm consultant led. So every trimester, I meet up with the consultant from the QE and then the team at Birmingham Women's, have a cardiology midwife, and they just discuss me, see how things are. And yeah, everyone's quite happy with how it's gone. There's been no concerns. There's been, you know, no scans that have flagged anything up. Baby girl is all good and well, and they've done extra scans on her heart. So I'm under fetal medicine. So they just, basically what I have, an echo on my heart, they do like a baby scan version, which is quite mad to see, really, because you think, I've been used to them since I was a baby, so I've been seeing them and now seeing my babies, but it's inside me. It's pretty crazy.
That's mad.
Yeah, I know it is. And obviously Tom, that's what he does as a job, so he's like in his element because he's looking at the babe. It's like he understands everything. I'm just seeing this flashing blue and red thing going, oh, it sounds better than mine. That's all I know when they put it on. But she's all good. The heart looks good. They're not going to do any more scans now. So I'm 30 weeks now, but they're happy. So there's no more scans until she's born. Then they'll want to do just like an echo on her heart when she's born, just to make sure that everything is as it should be. But touch wood, little girl isn't following her mother so far, so that's quite a good thing when it comes to her heart, anyway.
Yeah. But like that must be such a worry, and to even know that you're pregnant, like, I mean, when you told me, it was just a massive wave of like emotion for me, because I know it's not just been I'm not saying that you've just been leading up to be a mom, I don't mean that, but it's been, a lot of people think, oh, you know, to be pregnant is very easy, but I feel like with you and your condition and my condition, we've gone through it similarly. Like we both have a preconception. Like we've gone through very similar steps, haven't we? And to see that you finally got your little blueberry, as we call it, like on like, and how healthy and fit you've been, and like you still have time to care for everybody else, which I just find incredible. Like Gem does care for her mom, and I will be doing a different podcast about that and your lymphedema, because I just think we need to get that out there as well.
We've got plenty.
Yes, but Gem doesn't do it by halves, right? She just doesn't have one condition. She's got all these going on, and like I can't wait to see you be a mom. I'm just so proud of you, like how you've achieved it. And I think listening to your story, which I didn't know, because I don't think you tend to talk about your heart as much, because it was in the past, the operations.
Yeah.
You know, like it doesn't affect you on a day-to-day basis, but it's still, you still have to deal with so you work full-time, by the way, everyone listen, Gemma works. You still have to deal with the appointments. Like you're having more appointments in birth, I mean, not in pregnancy, because of heart. Like it's like a lot of, I always call it chronic ill or disability, like admin, health admin. It's like a lot on you. But to you, it's just normal because you've done it all your life.
Yeah,
where it isn't normal.
Like anything's changed. It's just, we're just doing different things now. Yeah, so... Yeah.
And you accept it. And what is one thing that you'd like people to take away from listening to today's episode?
I would say look after your body, because we are all very lucky if we do have an able body. So look after your body, and it might not, you know, prove in all ways, but there will be some time that your body will thank you for it and show up for you when you need it. So I'd say look after yourself, try and hold on to the positives. It's a very angry world out there, and I don't think it needs any more anger. So you don't achieve anything from being bitter in everyday life, because you're only bringing yourself and those around you down. So I'd just say hold on to the positives. Good things can happen and will happen, even if not right now. And yeah, just try and stay positive.
And that is such a beautiful way. I'm tearing up, so if anyone can see the video, excuse that. That's such a beautiful way to finish, and that is why Gemma is my best friend, because she can always just come and give me a little positive, like a little poxy. I say everyone could do with a little Gemma in their pocket, and she'll just pop up and give you a little positive zap. But I know it hasn't been easy, but I think sometimes when the people who go through, excuse my French, the shittest things always tend to be the happiest, because you've been through such hardship, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, and I hope all the listeners have loved it, and I can't wait to speak to you again and know the next part of your journey and get into talking about motherhood, and that's the next step, and we'll have you on for that.
That's fine.
Yes. Thank you so much for being on. I have been Simone. That has been the beautiful Gemma. And you've been listening to Cool and Chronic. Bye-bye.